Consolidated School District. So that was our very first partnership. And then in 2017, we partnered with the Leland and Hollandale School Districts in another Promise neighborhood. I should add that there are only 2 rural Promise neighborhoods throughout the United States. Our project in Mississippi, and then Berea, Kentucky. And that is sponsored by Berea College. Again, you have in your packet the current work in LaFleur County. But I want to share with you what these partnerships have meant to our Delta counties. And so you also have in your packet just a brief infographic that lets you know about the health and health education programs that we have sponsored throughout the 18 counties that we serve, and then the additional counties that we serve in South Mississippi. And to give you an idea of what those programs entail, there's another sheet that I've attached that not only tells what these projects are, but if you look at the next sheet, it also includes a brief description of all of these programs. And so what I would call your attention to are the ones that are labeled Expanding Educational Opportunities, Helping Families, and Building Promise Communities. And so I will ask you to read all of this in the short hour that we have. But I've also attached the outcomes. And this is an independent evaluation of our programs. And so I'll leave that to you to read at your leisure. So the reason that I'm coming before the board today is to ask the board support on the application for the LaFleur County. And this will be very similar to the Promise Neighborhoods applications that we have done in the previous counties. The only difference is we will tailor this to the needs of LaFleur County. And how do we arrive at what those needs are? We believe that research and data should drive our efforts. We have a community needs assessment that is being conducted by an independent evaluator. And from that, we complete our application. And so nothing that we do is not data driven. That's first and foremost. The other thing is everything that we do is everything that we do is on behalf of children and families. And so in your packet you have the project abstract. It gives a brief overview of what we are applying for. And then in addition to that, you have the draft letter of support that we shared with the superintendent and her staff, along with the MOU. None of these are final, except to the extent that we're asking you to support our application. When we are awarded, the final details of our partnership with the school district will be worked out at that time. So again, I thank you for a time to come before the board, and I welcome any questions you might have.
So good afternoon, Ms. Willis, and thank you so much for joining us. You just mentioned that MOUs would not necessarily be binding, and that you're here to seek the support of the district in pursuing funding. However, I am concerned with the fact that we would work out the particulars on the back end once funding is secured. Just in my professional opinion, and I have not had any experience with Delta Health Alliance, is that those particulars should be worked out on the front end versus the back end. But that's just my concern. Of course, I can't speak for my colleagues or the superintendent.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. And I can see how that would be a concern, but we're speaking to a broader application process with multiple partners, and in doing so, we have to be able to write to the RFP rather than individual needs. Now, I want to assure the board that we will commit when awarded and that's $1 million for 5 years. And so with that being said, those areas that we have discussed with the superintendent include support of such things like professional development. They also include some direct services to students. We have helped past school districts with technology. In fact, one of our school districts indicated that if not for a partnership with Delta Health Alliance, they would not have been able to nearly touch the number of children that they were able to touch through our support during COVID, and we continue to provide that support.
Ma'am, so Ms. Willis, if I'm not mistaken, and just for clarity, the United States Department of Education would be the funding source, correct?
That is correct. And the only other thing that I might add to your point, Mr. Bailey, is that we're also asking the district, when it comes to Title I funds, to be our match partner in this. This does not change how the district would spend its current Title I funds. So rather than going around the community asking for multiple partners to help us to reach that match, it is the recommendation of the U.S. Department of Education that we connect with our Title I partners in the community. They want to know that we're leveraging the federal resources that are coming into the community.
I have a question. Mrs. Willis, you indicated $1 million for 5 years. Is that $1 million a year or $1 million over the 5 years?
It is $1 million per year.
Per
the
year.
Total grant is $30 million. We are committing to the school district that when that grant is awarded, that we will commit $5 million to be paid $1 million per year.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Willis, $5 million in 5 years, and with you're addressing the Title I funds and how they're spent now, is there any cost to the district whatsoever?
No, there will not be a cost to the district. If you will, poll the school districts that we're currently working with, and they will tell you the only thing that we have asked over the years that we have been partnering with them is to share with us how much you received in Title I and to provide a letter on behalf of Delta Health Alliance to the U.S. Department of Education when we conclude our annual report that you have received these funds into your district. We have never asked a district for a portion of the Title I funds or sought to influence the district on how they should spend their Title I funds.
So whatever we have in place in our district right now, in terms of spending the funds, in terms of the whole program, would stay in place
Exactly.
without outside influence.
Without outside influence.
Thank
We
you.
realize that Title I funds have the input of parents first and foremost, and we would never come between what parents advocate for in terms of Title I funds and our agency. That's not how we operate.
Thank you.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the matching? Because I want to make sure I get a clear understanding. Could you just say that again about the matching?
So currently, the district has match funds, has Title I funds coming into the district. And as I said a few minutes ago, when we first started our funds in the Ambulance Grant in the Sunflower Consolidated School District, our project officer at the time asked the question, why are you seeking match dollars from all of these other agencies in small pockets when you have a federal partner in your district who could provide that match fund? U.S. Department of Education understands that we will not ask the district on any occasion the specifics of how they're using these funds, but will seek to partner and leverage these resources. For example, in terms of professional development, we have infused a lot of professional development dollars into the communities that we have served, knowing that school district dollars, when it comes to professional development, don't cover the whole gamut of what is actually needed for the district. And so in providing these match dollars, it shows the U.S. Department of Education that we're not attempting to flip anything that's going on
enter into, an agreement with, Delta Health Alliance, which entity, whether you, Delta Health Alliance or our district, which entity will control how, when, or where funds are allocated?
So, once we have the funds in hand, what we have done with our partners is to sit down with them and review the needs of that district. Normally, that would happen around April, but because we are in that cycle now, to where we're just in the application process, we hope that the award will be made somewhere in June or July. We will spend time with the district figuring out those needs. And so what we're asking now is to enter into a memorandum of understanding with a memorandum of agreement being put in place before we start programs. And that will be fully, it will be fully informed by the district's needs.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you, it will be a collaborative effort, with the district and with DHA of how these funds will be spent, when these funds will be spent, where they will be spent.
So on the how, we want the district to present to us, these are our needs, and do these needs match with the grant funds? And so as to when, again, we hope to receive these funds midsummer, and so every year with our other partners, we have entered into a memorandum of agreement on July 1, realizing that the fiscal year for the U.S. Department of Education is from January to December. And so our commitment is that we don't want these funds to end half cycle. And so we enter into a memorandum of agreement for the school year so that we ensure that these funds match your school year needs. From year to year, your needs may change. And so we have an opportunity to sit down, and generally I sit with my school district partners in April, and we start discussing what are the needs of the school district based on this past school year. We're looking at the school data, figuring out where the gaps are, and where we should plug in during the next school year. And so this is an ongoing collaboration with the school district. I also might add that we meet very often with our school district partners. We will ask impact, how well, how many children we are serving. And we want to be sure that anytime there is any sort of trend in a downward direction, that we are catching those quickly. And so to answer your question, as to when, it's very often that we meet with our school district partners to share results, to see where there are opportunities for growth, and also to plan ahead.
Another question. So Ms. Willis, on page 10, where we have the signatures, can you confirm that all of the names that are listed here in their official capacity has agreed to enter into partnership with Delta Health Alliance in pursuit of this grant application?
They have, with the exception of Teach for America. The board for LaFleur County, I met with them earlier this week. They are confirmed. The city of Greenwood is confirmed, as is the LaFleur County, Greenwood LaFleur Economic Development Foundation, and the Greenwood Chamber of Commerce. Those are our key global partners. MBSU has also confirmed to sign with us. I had a very pleasant conversation with Dr. Kathy Golden. She is an existing partner of ours to restore Head Start services and Intervena. And so we're also partnered with Mississippi Delta Community College. Again, this is a collaborative effort to provide services from cradle to career. And as such, the partners that you see on the list will help us to achieve that.
So how long will this partnership be?
So the grant itself is for 5 years, but if we're taking as an example, Southern Broward County Consolidated School District. We were awarded initially 5 years, then given an additional 2 years. We're in the process now of working with a private foundation who have committed to us some $8 million to continue that project. In addition to that, the state of Mississippi is very impressed with our work, and in the past 2 years, the state legislature has committed $800,000 each year to us.
So, Ms. Willis, as it pertains to oversight, fiscal management, and accountability, I'm certain that Delta Health Alliance will bear some of those responsibilities. But how would Delta Health Alliance and the Board of Trustees here with the school district coexist? And I say that because I know you mentioned making sure that some of the expenditures or all the expenditures are within the allowable cost of the grant. However, language can be subjective and based upon how somebody interprets it. So your interpretation could vary from mine. And at that point, if we have a disagreement, how do we resolve that if the board feels that something is in the best interest of the district, but DHA may say no?
So, understood. And that's part of the planning process. We want to know what the district's needs are up front. And in terms of fiscal responsibility, there are a couple of things that I rely on. One, what was in the original memorandum of agreement? And then two, what was in our application to the U.S. Department of Education? Do these things align? And then looking at those two things, figuring out, okay, are these things allowable costs? And if they're not, then how are we to resolve this? And many occasions where they were not resolvable, we simply work with our district partners and ask them, are there any district funds that you could commit to this while we commit to another area that is allowable?
Thank you. Madam President, if appropriate, I would like to see if Dr. Brown has any questions that she would like to ask Ms. Willis to inform the board of.
Thank you. Board members, Ms. Willis, thank you again. We were and are scheduled to meet with the Delta Health Alliance's grant writer. My request was to take a look at the grant itself to make sure that, for me, I felt uncomfortable bringing the MOU to the board with my signature due to the language of the MOU. So I did reach out, I communicated to Ms. Willis if I was able to see the grant, and she indicated to me that she would schedule a meeting, and we have it set for Tuesday at 9 o'clock with the grant writer to discuss some of the things that the GLCSD would also like to see included. And if you will look at the packet I provided you, this was to be a part of our planning session on Tuesday. Some of the things that, and we know that we will have to work together to compromise, but some of the things that we were planning to share on Tuesday, this is, I cut and paste the language for the GLCSD from the Delta Health Alliance's MOU. And if you look down at the bottom first where it says GLC and Delta Health Alliance, some of the programs that were listed in the MOU provided by Mrs. Willis, if you look to the right of those programs, we have programs that it's the last 2 pages. It's a tab, where the yellow tab is. If you look down at the bottom, the district has programs that mirror those programs. And what the Greenwood-LaFleur Consolidated School District's administrative staff is proposing is that those programs And again, we will come to a compromise, but those programs listed by the Delta Health Alliance, we use our programs and be supported by the Delta Health Alliance's staff, because these are programs that we already have under a different name. And so if we already have these initiatives in our district, we would definitely welcome the support from the Delta Health Alliance, as well as, and I'm not sure how it would be, I think Dr. Bailey alluded to the question that I wanted to ask on Tuesday, if there would be a clause inserted into the MOU if parties could not agree on certain things, to just add a clause where we could part ways. And we hope that that is not the case. However, I think in our initial meeting with Ms. Willis, and Ms. Willis, correct me if I'm not saying the way that it was stated, the question was asked based upon the lines if there were any disagreements, if we could not come to an agreement. I think you stated, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the DHA would basically tell us or tell us some things that we needed to do that I guess would align with your program, and the district would then have to comply with that. And I may be off a little bit, but and you can correct me. My only concern with this, and I definitely would like to partnership with anyone who supports children, it is the language in the MOU and signing an MOU before and not being able to see a grant that we are written in it to have had input, and we would just like to have input in the grant. And so that was the purpose of the meeting for Tuesday, is so that the DHA could hear and receive some feedback from GLCSD, and then we could then come to an understanding of how we will work together so the DHA could support our initiatives that we already have in place.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Okay.
So let me address that the memorandum of understanding is written in broad language that can be adjusted. The same way the letter of support that we provided is a draft letter of support. Again, written in very broad language to be tailored to the specifics of the school district. And it's just as simple as you providing the language that you would like to go into the MOU. With regards to partnering with our agency, again, we have worked with 3 school districts, and there is an out clause in the memorandum of agreement where if we are not able to work together, there's a 30-day out clause in the memorandum of agreement. The memorandum of understanding is just our way of proceeding with the grant application. And if there's anything that you are concerned about with regards to the language that is in the memorandum of understanding, all you have to do is to provide the language that you would like to go into the MOU. I believe it would be premature to put any such language as a separation clause in a memorandum of understanding that already shows that we're not aligned.
Okay. And I've asked Ms. Howe, she's our federal programs director, and she oversees our Title I funds, to be, she's on the call to kind of explain how we currently use our Title I funds. And I'll ask if it's okay with the board if she's able to speak. But again, I would say to the board, and whatever direction we go in, you know, that's perfectly fine. But I am concerned with signing an MOU without the language that the feedback from the GLCSD prior to submitting the application. Dr. Pulley.
So if I might add, pardon the interruption, but the grant application at this point is proprietary information of Delta reviewed by the public.
Ms. Willis, I'm concerned with that statement because I write grants as well.
Mhm.
And I write grants, National Science Foundation, University of Alaska Fairbanks, NASA, United States Department of Education. And working with high schools, Carroll, Montgomery, Tallahatchie counties, if I'm asking the superintendent in those districts or the principals, counselors to get on board with the program that would benefit their students, and whatever information that they ask for before providing me with their letter of support, I provide to them. And again, that's just me and my preference, but I wouldn't be comfortable.
Yeah, so any of the that portion of the application that pertains to the school district, we can certainly provide it. But my interpretation of the request is that the entire application should be turned over for review. And so I'm sure that in your grant writing experience, you're writing to the specifics as opposed to writing to an entire grant application that spans multiple organizations.
Well, it spanned several organizations. Like I said, you're talking about United States Department of Education, National Science Foundation. So those are two different organizations. But again, your point is definitely well taken.
Dr. Brown,
Yes.
is Ms. House available?
Yes, ma'am, she
Okay,
is.
so I would like to hear some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she does handle our Title I funds and grants.
Okay, Ms. House.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Okay, I am to discuss the purpose or the use for Title I funds in the district. Basically, the district uses its Title I funds for all instructional purposes that are aligned to the district's comprehensive needs assessment. Beginning of the spring, I conducted a comprehensive needs assessment over the course of 2 months, and basically that comprehensive needs assessment dictates how the funds will be aligned with the application that we write. For example, our homeland education, which is our McKenna-Bento, parent and family engagement, preschool, pre-K, EL instruction, social workers, nurses, and like I said, any other instructional use, strictly Title I only. So those are our funds that are used. And in reference to the MOU, I have reviewed the MOU, and my concern was the matching. The district, since we consolidated, the district averages about 4.5 million in Title I funds. So when I divided out the 15 million over the 5 years, that came to about $3 million. So my concern was that I can't see how we can match 3 million with the items or the things that were listed in the MOU and still satisfy what we currently use our funds for.
So in answer to that, we realize that the district receives a limited number of Title I funds. What we're asking, again, is the district to partner with us in this. There will be other partners who will also provide match funds. And so, yes, the district will provide a lion's share, but there are other agencies that we will partner with who will also provide match funds.
Okay, again, so with the 15 million that the district will be required to match, wouldn't the district have to show documentation as to those funds being spent in those areas in order to be credited or to be credited for the match?
No, the district only has to show how much it received in match. Again, how you spend your match dollars is the district's business. We only want you to be able to say to us, yes, we've received match dollars, this is how much we have received in match dollars, and we are ready to continue the partnership with Delta Health Alliance by signing a letter every year of the grant stating that these are the match dollars received. But again, we're not asking the district to do anything different aside from providing
DHA. So how does that work?
So as long as you're eligible for Title I funds, I feel confident that you'll be able to partner with us. We need a school agency in order to receive these funds. And so if the school district loses its Title I funds for whatever reason, then we have to seek a waiver with you as Department of Education based on the circumstances that exist in the school district. In addition to that, we, as I mentioned earlier, are seeking funds from philanthropic organizations as well as through our state department of, Mississippi Department of Legislature, sorry. And so we feel pretty certain that we would be able to get match dollars in that way as well. But again, our success in this application depends on establishing a relationship and a partnership with the school district.
The entities that you provided in one of our handouts, how are they going to be used with this partnership?
So explain more about that, sir.
Okay, so there are several, earlier you stated, if you colleagues, if you would look at the MOU at the very back on page 10.
Mm-hmm.
You stated that you have received collaborative efforts to move forward with these agencies.
Right.
Are these agencies providing match dollars as well?
So the Greenwood LaFleur Economic Development Foundation, as an example, they don't receive any federal funds. And so their match would come from in-kind contribution to the bank. And so the match can be calculated in different ways. If we're looking at the Greenwood LaFleur Chamber of Commerce, the same way, they don't receive any federal funds. That would come from in-kind donations or in-kind dollars in terms of volunteering and that kind of thing. Other agencies that are listed on there, Value is an Education Library, which provides a free book to children 0 to 5, would also be a match contribution for us. And their match contribution, on average, is about $250,000 per year. And that's guaranteed as long as we have the program. And so over 5 years, that's quite a number of match dollars. And so again, we're coupling all of these little pieces together when the district already has this Title I funds money to provide the match. Again, without changing the way that those funds are being used.
Question, Madam President. Ms. Willis, speaking to Dr. Brown's point with the MOU or MOA with the out clause, for lack of a better term, what happens to the funding at that point that was allocated for partnership with the district?
It gets reallocated into other community-based programs.
Understood. And see, that's my concern too, because for lack of a better term, you got your funding on the front end, now we can't work it out, and then we lose on the back end.
Well, let me say this. We've been doing this since 2012, and none of the school districts that we work with have exercised that 30-day out clause. Neither has Delta Health Alliance.
Ms. Willis, how much in funding will this grant give overall to LaFleur County?
It's going to be $30 million.
$30 million. That's what I thought you had said, $30 million to LaFleur County, to benefit LaFleur County.
Right.
But half of that money will also come from the district.
No.
The district is not putting up money, it's Title I funds, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but the,
Title I funds that the district has.
I understand that, but
But
the
none of that is touched by this grant.
Okay.
you're not taking any money from the district.
No.
All they need with Delta Health Alliance, if I am correct, is to partner with a program that already exists with the school system.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Now, if you want that validated, I can get on the telephone the superintendent for the Leland School District, who is a very strong partner of ours, and he can attest to us having never asked the district for any money. We have given money to the district.
Do you think you could get him?
Sure.
And then you can always keep in mind, we have you recorded in our newspapers here, so I don't really think you just sit here and just say that
No,
if it wasn't gonna happen.
Reverend King, hi, this is Carolyn Willis with Delta Health Alliance. I'm doing well, thank you. Before we proceed, I want to let you know that I am meeting with the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District. The call is being recorded as well as it's being covered by the Greenwood Commonwealth. The reason for the call is to get your perspective on a partnership with Delta Health Alliance, including what has been your experience, good, bad, or indifferent, and also information on match funds in particular, and providing the provisions that Delta Health Alliance has made for the school district using the promised neighborhood funding. Did I cover everything? Okay. Are you willing to discuss this on record? Okay. Alright. So, in general, how has the district benefited from the partnership with Delta Health Alliance?
We have benefited in so many ways. When we first came into the partnership, the
try to enact with regards to how the district uses Title I money?
No, ma'am, the only thing we did with Title I and Health Line was we had an extension of services that we could not afford because our Title I dollars were limited based on student enrollment, and where we could not extend services, Delta Health Line provided those extensions, such as consulting services. If we did not have enough money to support, like we wanted to support Title I instructional activities and instructional programming, Delta Health Line said, okay, what do you need? And let's see, can we get together and give the students what they need with additional funding? But not one time has Delta Health Line been involved in our federal program project. It's a standalone project. There's no input from Delta Health Line about the school-wide planning or how we spend those dollars, except for what do you need in terms of providing high-quality teachers, high-quality learning. Delta Health Line is paid for NISL, where all administrators were trained using research-based practices and strategies that our federal dollars just could not afford to do. Delta Health Line is paid for effective teaching and learning strategies through Ole Miss, which is called TAIL, teaching teachers how students learn, research-based initiative, which I believe contributed to our academic growth and our successful school district the year that we got all of the research-based initiatives in place. But not one time has Delta Health Line been involved in writing our federal programs or dictating where our federal dollars are spent. The only thing that they have offered is what do you need that your federal dollars cannot stretch itself to take care of.
Thank you so much for that, Reverend King. Are there any questions?
So Dr. King, I'm sorry, Reverend King, you can attest that you've never had to give any money up front out of your Title I funds.
Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. There has not been any match on our end with Delta Health Line. We did not do anything. When we got the grant to be a part of the Promise Community, the district did not have to put any money up front. The district didn't have to put any money, not only up front, in the middle, or on the end. We operated our standalone budgets, our district budgets, our federal budgets, and what it's going to allow districts to do is have additional resources. It will also allow the resources to be utilized around assessments, your community assessment, which Delta Health Alliance and the school district partners, and we met with parents, we met with community stakeholders, and we did surveys to address areas of need based on the surveys and put dollars towards meeting those needs.
And so the surveys that Reverend King is referring to is we do a student needs assessment every year, as well as a community, or we call it Promise Neighborhood Survey, on an annual basis. And that helps to guide us in how we will move forward in the next year. And we believe in a community-based approach to this, with any stakeholder who wants a seat at the table informing how we go. So Reverend King, in terms of the documentation regarding Title I dollars, can you speak to what we have asked for or lack thereof of asking for?
The only thing that we continually provide is data. Because of the partnership, there's a partnership to improve. And so we have data here, attendance data, all the kids coming to school, what percentage of absences are occurring at each of the schools, so that we can put strategic plans together from the partnership in the school, how do we address it? The leading and lagging indicators such as the state assessment data so that we can inform where do we put the resources for kids who are not growing or kids who have reached proficiency and may have learning loss. After school initiative around the data, reading initiative around the data. That's the only data sharing that we pretty much have been asked to provide are your data that are open to the public anyway. Of course, all of that data is dependent data by parents agreeing that we can share that data with our external partners, and they do not accept data without parent consent.
So, I'm sorry, Reverend King, let me rephrase the question. On an annual basis, when we get ready to submit our annual reports to the U.S. Department of Education, what is it that we ask the district to show proof that those Title I dollars remain as part of the partnership without changing anything that the school district is doing?
We haven't had that request. Again, our federal project is a separate standalone. We just haven't been asked to change anything or modify anything, or we just have not.
Any
I
additional,
hope I'm answering the question, but we haven't.
any additional questions?
Yes, ma'am, I have a question. Reverend King, you said that the Delta Health Alliance offered or provided you with resources and programs. My question is, prior to your partnership with Delta Health Alliance, did your district already have programs and resources? And if so, how different were they from what the Delta Health Alliance provided? And what supports were provided by Delta Health Alliance? What were the responsibilities of your district? How different were the responsibilities, and what were the supports? So I guess, let me go back. That was a loaded question. Prior to your partnership with Delta Health Alliance, what resources were in place / programs, and those that were, how related, or how did they relate to what Delta Health Alliance offer?
That one was pretty detailed, and I couldn't quite understand it with clarity. Can you repeat parts of it?
So, before Delta Health Alliance came to your district, before you partnered with Delta Health Alliance, I heard you say that you lacked a lot of technology and some of the resources. What did you already have in place prior to Delta Health Alliance, and what did they bring that was different from what you already had?
Okay. Is somebody closer to...
For instance, Reverend King, I'm sure you all already had a pre-K program. So
We had one classroom.
when you came in a partnership with Delta Health Alliance, what changed drastically from what you already had and when you partnered with them?
You said what changed?
Yeah, Dr. Brown is just trying to get an understanding of programs that you already had, and when you partnered with Delta Health Alliance, what changed drastically?
Oh, what changed drastically?
Yes.
We were able to enlarge services where we were only able to serve 12, 13 kids in the pre-K program in the Leland School District. Now we can serve all 4-year-olds. We did not have the funding, nor did we have the staff, and we just, because we were not part of a collaborative. And of course, you know that the state of Mississippi does not pay for 4-year-old programs. And so Delta Health Alliance picked up the cost along with Head Start and the district. We provided the facility, and they provided the salaries and the fringes and the resources, the whole 9 yards, the playground, everything that you want a successful 4-year-old program to encompass. They provided the resources to do that, so that we can service all of the 4-year-old kids in the different school districts. The Washington County Head Start was in agreement with the collaboration. We did not need him out and make a decision in isolation. He was at the table. He wanted to expand it 0 to 3, and he supported the 4-year-old coming to the district. And we have just had a wonderful roundtable around pre-K learning.
Okay, what about, we know you have social workers and school counselors, so when you got into partnership, what changed?
He said we got social workers.
And school counselors, when you got into partnership with them, did anything change?
No. What we did, we ended up having wraparound services increase for those students. Our students receive not only school counseling services, but we now have access to social workers. We do have access to wraparound services, in addition to what we were providing. It was an increase of services for children. But there was no deletion, there was no decrease of school services. It was only a collaborative increase looking at what kids needed and providing the human resources or the subjects to make sure kids were moving in the right direction.
Okay, Reverend King, last one, what about life help services and character ed?
That was a part of our initiative with our local stakeholders here in Washington County. Those partnerships did not go away; they're still intact. What we have are just extra support, but they did not go away because Delta Health Alliance came into the picture. They just increased in opportunities for children to have more than what we had initially.
And I said last one, but I'm sorry, this is the last one. Professional development for teachers.
It's huge. It is huge. We, again, and it's public record, Cleveland will get, based on enrollment, and of course, enrollment's been going down, and Cleveland lost several dollars from the last 5 years and so forth. And we would not have had the professional development strengths and opportunities that we wanted to provide if we did not have the additional resources. We have partnered with Ford, we have partnered with Bailey, we are partnered with Kirkland, and those partnerships have been a part of our several program initiatives, but it has been expanded as a result of Delta Health Alliance. We could have afforded 40 days, but with Delta Health Alliance, we were able to double what we could not afford to provide teachers to support. We also have the writing project that I know you're familiar with. The Delta Health Alliance pays for that outside of the budget that they support us with. We have professional development ongoing this year to address the writing standards with the writing project out of Ole Miss, and it's just going well.
Thank you so much, Reverend King, for allowing us to put you on the spot and having you to attest to the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated Board, Superintendent, and Administration, and to the citizens of Greenwood and LaFleur County.
And if you like, acknowledge, we're virtual, but you're more than welcome to talk to Dr. Naval Brown, that's been there ever since. There's the other lines been in partnership like Susie Williams, who's seen the benefits. You just don't have to rely on my word only, but you're welcome, and I extend to you an invitation. And if I can connect those virtual calls for you, be glad to do it.
We thank you for the invitation, and our superintendent, Dr. Brown, at her discretion, she may reach out to you, and thank you again.
Okay, thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you, Reverend King.
Question.
Ms.
Okay. So one final question, Madam President. So Ms. Willis, can you speak to, I know you mentioned as well as Ms. Abraham about the $30 million commitment to LaFleur County. So if the school district will only receive $5 million, who would receive that other $25 million?
So there are other community-based projects that we work with. Reverend King gave a perfect example of the writing project with Ole Miss. In addition to that, you saw on the MOU that there are several organizations that we will partner with, and some of those partners will receive dollars. And we look for additional opportunities to partner with anyone who is serving children in LaFleur County.
So just for clarification, Ole Miss would receive some of the funding from LaFleur County.
We give Ole Miss on average per year about $200,000. That's just one example of how we have partnerships with folks that are external to the school district. The other thing that we do is we provide after-school services. We have a number of child care centers who offer after-school services, but they are strapped for money. And so when we look at this, we look at it from a birth or a college to career continuum. And imagine all of the folks who will interact with children from birth through college and career. Again, we're partnering with Mississippi Valley State as well as Mississippi Delta Community College. And those are some partners that we work with, especially with students around GED as well as job development. And so this isn't just to be broken up into the K through 12 cycle, but also from birth through kindergarten and then from college to career. So there are many partners. The ones that you see listed on the MOU will be anchor partners, if you will.
So just again, for clarification, these anchor partners, I would assume, on page 10, would also, well, since the district will receive about $5 million, they would receive that additional $25 million?
Yes. And in addition to that, anytime we go into a community, we realize that there is a need to, in some instances, raise the capacity in those communities. And Reverend King talked about those wraparound services. We have a program called LINKS, LINKS, and this is a home visiting initiative where those students who are chronically absent, have behavioral issues that have led to poor performance, they work one-on-one with parents. And so part of the program would pay for some of these community-based initiatives that really, when you're looking at it, are responsible for addressing some of the social determinants that prevent children from maximizing their education.
One final question, just again for clarity.
Sure.
The Children's Defense Fund, Save the Children, Delta Council, Legal and Medical Clinic, the Dollywood Foundation, they all operate here in LaFleur County.
So the Save the Children has initiatives in Mississippi. This would be bringing in additional resources. Dollywood Foundation operates minimally through the junior auxiliary, and they're looking at expanding their program. So what you see in that list are partners who are either interested in working with us based on the work that we have done in other communities. Children's Defense Fund is an example of that. We initially started working with Children's Defense Fund in the Santa Clara County Consolidated School District only.
So when it comes to the board agreeing on behalf of the school district, is it possible to identify local entities that are already in the Floyd County to potentially partner with? Because again, my concern is, and I do understand that they're providing a service. If we have agencies or entities within our county that can provide these services, why would we be paying someone outside?
So one of the things that Delta Health Alliance never wants to do is to duplicate services. We feel that that is a waste of dollars. And so if there is a local agency who's already providing the services, of course we want to partner with these agencies and not displace anyone. We have not, in any way, shape, form, or fashion, attempted to displace anyone that was currently doing the same work in a county that we want to partner with.
Any other question, board members? Ms. Willis, we certainly appreciate you coming here today, with this presentation, and from me personally, after hearing the testimony. Okay, I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Mills, I'm sorry. Can we offer, Dr. Pulley and Ms. Coleman, if they have any questions for?
Yes, ma'am. At this time, we are operating under several grants, and my concern is the personnel, the GLCSD personnel that it would take to implement the 10 programs that are in this MOU. Many of them are for after school and after hours. So in addition to the access to our students, access to our staff, and us producing data and providing data to Delta Health Alliance and implementing these 10 programs, what do we get from Delta Health Alliance besides money? Because we don't turn down free money, but there's no such thing as free money.
So what 10 programs are you referencing?
I am referencing the 10 programs in the MOU. I'll name them.
Sure.
The Promise School Early Childhood, Life Skills, Drug and Alcohol, the Greenwood LaFleur Youth Council, Teacher Professional Development, CARES Mentoring, the Catch PE Program, Quality Pre-K, Watch Dogs, the College Promise Initiative, and Engage Parental Engagement. So we have a curriculum that we must follow from, and we must observe those instructional minutes. So after we do that, and we begin the implementation of these 10 programs, and use staff that are currently working for us in the instructional capacity, and we additionally assign them these things, what is it that they receive? Who will be provided? What do we get? You will train in PD. Who will do that? When will they do that?
In terms of the programs that are listed, those are examples of programs that other Promise neighborhoods have implemented. If the school district feels that it is already receiving those services through others, then we would not want to upset that system. There are programs like Life Skills and Youth Council where we would hire locally for the implementation of those programs in the school district. If the school district saw that this was an interruption of instructional time, we would seek to implement those programs outside of the school. There are programs that we have seen tremendous success. Promise School is one of them. In terms of kindergarten readiness, you heard Reverend King attest to how his kindergarten entry has really grown from the time that we partnered with them. And one of those ways to support the school district was with Promise School, which is a 6-week boot camp, if you will, for children who are entering into kindergarten. We realize that there are some children who have never gone to Head Start. There are some children who arrive at us who said at us never having any sort of formal child care. And so during that 6-week boot camp, it is an opportunity to assess where that child is, do some intentional and intensive work with those children to ensure that on day one when they arrive in a kindergarten classroom, that
Yes,
And so
ma'am.
the
Who will do that? Who's going to do that?
So that would be a program in partnership with the school district. It takes place during the summer.
With the school district employees, correct?
Yes. And Delta Health Alliance would pay for those employees.
Mhm.
And that is outside of the $1 million that we would have allocated to the school district. And so all we ask is that the district help us with identifying teachers as we work with our
Yeah.
Head
So we
Start.
will be controlled, we will be over the oversight of all of the program and the people.
Yes.
So we're running your program, pretty much.
No, I mean, it's not the programs so much as the model being implemented in the school district. In terms of personnel, this is an opportunity for teachers to earn money over the summer. We, partnering with the school district, pay 100% for that program. In terms of oversight, if the school district has someone that they wanted to use as a coordinator, we pay for that salary as well. We're not asking the school district to do anything different than it is currently doing without any compensation for that. If there are added responsibilities, we are bound to pay for those responsibilities. The added responsibilities.
So the benefit would be to the students who receive those services and staff, teachers, whoever, who would get extra money if they so choose or are chosen by the district, right?
Yes, and we have not had any issues in the other school districts with recruiting teachers or recruiting coordinators for these programs.
Thank you.
Ms. Willis, have you, had any school districts who have been invited to enter into this type of an agreement with, Delta Health Alliance and they declined?
No, we have not. The first promise school, the first Indianola Promise Community, the first promise community that we looked at specifically was for Indianola. When we asked Indianola, would you like to partner with us? And we built that relationship much in the same way that we have in LaFleur County, where we have other programs, starting with our 0 through 5-year population, recognizing that that continuum happens from years and years after. And so when we approached the Sunflower Consolidated School District, at that time, it was the Indianola School District. They were under conservatorship, and they saw this as an opportunity for them. The same way with the Leland and Hollandale School Districts. They saw what was happening next door in Sunflower County, and they said, yes, we want that. Much in the same way that LaFleur County is next door. I've had many, many people ask, Carolyn, when are you going to do work in your own county? And this is that opportunity. I went to my CEO when the RFP came out, and I said, we have to do this in LaFleur County. She was considering Bolivar, she was considering Humphreys County, and it is because I put LaFleur County out there that she even considered it.
Thank you.
Mrs. Willis, I do have one question. How often does DHA meet with the school districts to monitor progress towards the goals that have been agreed upon through the partnership? We want to make sure, definitely in our area, that we're keeping our focus on improving academic achievement, but then also making sure that we have a steady monitoring of progress so that we'll know if we are doing well with the partnership. We'll know how's it going, because I think the concern is what happens if if the district is not pleased? What happens if HA is not pleased? So just kind of, can you speak to the maybe the intervals where progress is monitored?
Right. So this is a collaboration, and we have to be able to sit down and talk with one another in good times as well as in bad times. So as part of this collaborative, the district would be sharing with Delta Health Alliance pertinent data like attendance, any sort of behavioral issues, or areas where there are concerns regarding student proficiency and student growth. And so on a quarterly basis, at least on a quarterly basis, we would ask for a meeting with the district to review those things that have gone well during the previous 9 weeks, and also forecasting those things that we can change for the upcoming 9 weeks. But I think more importantly is the opportunity for us to sit down annually to develop those things that we want to be able to do for the entire school year, but then have checkpoints in between to see if we're achieving those things that we set out to do during the year.
Thank you so much.
If nothing else, Ms. Willis, as I was saying, over here,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay. We thank you for coming to present to the board. And after hearing the testimony of Reverend King, I just feel like this is a win-win situation. But of course, we only take recommendations from our superintendent. But either way it goes, I'm sure she will reach out to you, okay?
Sure.
And
that
thank you
sounds
for
great.
coming today.
The only question that I have is, by when would we expect to hear from the school district? Because this is an application, and we do have other counties that are interested.
When's the deadline, Ms. Willis?
So the application has to be submitted on March 5th, but we don't want to wait up until March 5th. We can't do that. If we can't do this in LaFleur County, I want to be able to push another county. We cannot afford to, in the Delta, lose an opportunity.
And again, I say, it's, in my opinion, it's a win-win situation, but it's left up to Dr. Brown.
And I do
so-
share the same sentiments with, Mrs. Abraham and Ms. Mills.
I will say, I have already communicated to Ms. Willis, that we will meet on Tuesday, to provide our input. I will email a copy of the input. We're gonna meet on Tuesday with the grant writer. She did state previously that we have 3 weeks. There's about a 3-week deadline before submission. So, I believe that when we meet on Tuesday, that still allows for enough time for submission. So the, meeting is already scheduled for Tuesday at 9 o'clock.
So can we safely say that by Tuesday afternoon, that we will have a decision from the district?
Yes, ma'am, I will. What I can say is, I will communicate the decision to the board, and then the board will provide me direction as to how to move forward.
Sure. I thank you again for your time. I believe in this work, otherwise I would not have committed to doing it for the last 11 years. And I just hope that the district will take into consideration how these funds, $30 million, will benefit not only the school district, but will benefit the entire county.
All right, Dr. Brown.
Approval of use of practice fields, Mississippi Valley State University's football team. The MVSU football team is requesting to use the 2 practice fields on Girard Avenue beginning February 15, 2021 for 2 to 3 times a week from 3:30 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. Board members, attached on the back page is a letter of the request, or for the request. The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the use of the 2 practice fields on Girard Avenue by Mississippi Valley State University's football team beginning February 15, 2021 for 2 to 3 times a week from 3:30 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. pending documentation of insurance liability for usage of the district's property.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the use of the 2 practice fields on Girard Avenue by Mississippi Valley State University football team beginning February 15th, 2021, 2 to 3 times a week from 3:30 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. pending documentation of insurance liability for usage of the district's property.
No, ma'am, but they
I
will,
understand that, but just wanna be,
they're gonna submit it after the board approval to Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Johnson will provide us with a copy of it. Yes, ma'am.
just for my clarity.
But it won't move forward until we get it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried.